Episode of Maximilian Must Know. Today we are taking a look at what I believe to be one of, if not the best, indie house that my nose has come across, and the house is called En Voyage. Now, this is a house that I had on my radar. What got me sort of excited about them was a scent called Go Ask Alice. That scent was sort of inspired by the psychedelic period that occurred in the late 60s, early 70s. And so I had that on my sort of checkout list. But what happened was Carlos, Brooklyn Fragrance Lover, actually wanted me to do a video on the scents he made for the Peace, Love, and Perfume, and the scents that were made for the Peace, Love, and Perfume group. And he sent me a bunch of samples, and the scent that really got my attention, my favorite of all of them, was New York Man by En Voyage. And so when Shelley Waddington, who's the talent behind En Voyage, saw my video, we got to talking. She sent me some samples, and guys, there's really a lot within this house that you need to take a look at. Again, for purposes of brevity, we'll look at 3. But if you see something from the site that you like, I would definitely recommend checking it out, because there are a lot of really high quality options, and these are really all well-made fragrances. Now, the first up that I want to talk about today, guys, is called Cacao, and this is from En Voyage's Souvenir de Chocolat trio, which consists of this, indigo, vanille, and captured in amber. And the 3 of these, all 3, are just out of this world. I mean, these are gourmand beasts, and even though they're sort of all based on chocolate or cocoa, they really do sort of have different, the indigo one has a very vanilla feel to it, and the amber scent is very amber centric. Now this one, Cacao, is just incredible. Evidently Marie Antoinette would drink her hot chocolate with ambergris, and so that was part of the inspiration. Here was sort of an amber laden hot cocoa, and to me this is a perfume version of the Cafe Mocha, and it's just out of this world. Notes on Cacao, which is the first bottle you see, are French roast cafe, steamed milk, dark cacao, sweet cream, vanilla powder, rose, sugar, and cardamom. Guys, this one is a gourmand lover's nirvana, like absolutely. You can get a 15 ml EDP spray for $60, 1.4 ounce of parfum extrait for $30, or a sample for $6. And if you're looking sort of for a great coffee scent and you don't feel like you've found that yet, I know many people are looking for that. You've got to give this one a look. I get cocoa, I get vanilla, I get amber, I get coffee. There's definitely that cardamom kicking it. Really unique about, and potent as any gourmand that I've ever experienced. And just a beautiful combination. And the way I think I can describe this one to you guys is sort of a cross between I Love New York for All by Bond Number 9 with the cocoa and then with by Killian's Intoxicated, which has the cardamom and the coffee. So you kind of get that cardamom and the coffee with the cocoa in this one, and that's steamed milk and the vanilla. It's just awesome. Incredible fragrance. Guys, definitely check that out. If you're a coffee head or a gourmand head, you got to check out Cacao. Actually, all 3 in that series. The next one that I want to talk to you guys about is called Go Ask Alice, and I love that name. It's a name that I think like I would have come up with for a scent. It's so obviously evocative of that era, that psychedelic era. And Go Ask Alice, of course, was sort of a lyric in the Jefferson Airplane song White Rabbit. And it was a book that came out at the time that a lot of people think is bullshit. But basically a psychologist claimed to write this book about someone that she was a patient of hers who got really heavy into drugs, and supposedly this was her journal, and it got published, and it sort of was an expose on the dangers of gateway drugs around the time. And Alice refers to also Alice in Wonderland, which has some very psychedelic a lot of people think Lewis Carroll was was intoxicated when he wrote Alice in Wonderland. So the name is evocative of that 60s, 70s psychedelic time. And this is an all-natural fragrance. And the notes on Go Ask Alice are orange peel, bitter orange, bergamot from Calabria, Sri Lankan black pepper, orange flower laced with raspberry and strawberry. Those are the top notes. In the middle, you've got patchouli leaf tincture, mimosa blossoms, and rose absolute. And in the base, you're going to get vintage patchouli Sumatra, sandalwood dew, cocoa, vanilla, tonka, labdanum from Spain, balsam Peru, and beach wash ambergris. That's your base. Now this is from the En Voyage Rubicon collection, and you can purchase a half-ounce EDP for $60 or a quarter-ounce of Parfum for $95. Now, people who watch my channel know I'm just not a big patchouli guy. I could probably count on one hand the number of fragrances that I own that I like that have patchouli as a main note. Cartier's Roadster is probably my favorite, but this one is just gorgeous. I love this. It starts off with this really high quality bitter orange peel that has some actually like fruity nuances in it. You know, there's fruity nuances. When I was into cocktails, there was an ingredient that just came out, you know, when I was getting into it, it was all the rage, and it was called orange bitters. You know, at the time, there were only two types of bitters used in cocktails, and they were Angostura and Peychaus from New Orleans. And then this bartender, mixologist, Gary Reagan, put out orange bitters, and these orange bitters were basically orange bitters, just spiced with all kinds of stuff, cardamom, and clove and cinnamon, and I sort of get that sort of feel from the opening, like an orange bitters feel. It's really, really nice. But then there's this dusty and dry, almost like a crackly patchouli in the background, which is supported by woods and coffee and tonka, and this beautiful, beautiful sandalwood. And as it dries down, it gets really resinous and ambery, and it's an awesome patchouli scent. This patchouli for me isn't medicinal. It doesn't have that eucalyptic quality that some patchouli can have. It's just a home run in terms of patchouli scents. And if you like patchouli, definitely recommend checking this one out. A lot of people now are sort of really getting into Japanese patchouli by the Zenya Ascende line, and I get why people like that one, but this one is like so much better. I feel like for me, it's just like so much more depth to it, and the patchouli is just so. The notes that surround the patchouli, it's just a better structured perfume, in my opinion. So give this one a look if you're looking for that sort of patchouli scent. Now, the final one that I want to talk to you guys about today is called La Hombre. And this is from the Odyssey collection, and Shelley thinks this is one of the best masculine scents that she's ever done, and I think it would be hard to disagree. At the top of this one, you get fine aged malt scotch, citrus and spice, dark coffee and sacred incense in the middle, and in the base you're going to get black oud, coffee, mineral amber, Haitian vetiver, tree moss, aged patchouli, and musk in the base. And if you're drooling at that note breakdown with the coffee and the black oud and the scotch, you should be drooling. You can get a 1 ounce EDP of this one for $90, a half ounce for $60. And the first thing that I thought about this one when I smelled this one is that like this is for the type of guy who doesn't do a lot of talking. And I don't mean a quiet or shy guy. I mean it's for a guy who's just not into pretending. Like this is for someone who walks the walk. They don't just talk the talk. You know, this is like a man's scent, and I love the fact that it's stout and it's strong without being obnoxious or brass. It reminds me of something, you know, my father might have worn when I was a kid, and you know, before him and my mother would go out and she'd have her Chanel on or whatever, and this is like the type of like ballsy man scent that they made in the early 80s. It's just incredible. It's also not dated. It's just really rich and opulent. You get that warming boozy vibe off the top, but not too boozy. And then there are those gorgeous spices. The coffee starts to open up as a fragrance dries down. You get a little bit of a dark amber. You get some oud and coffee. There's some really nice earthy and rooty vetiver in there with the spice and the scotch. It's just awesome. I actually sort of think of it as sort of New York Men is sort of a darker or more extreme version of this one, but this one's like really subdued but noticeable, signature scent worthy by far, very much so. It's just an excellent composition, and I think my takeaway from my time with the En Voyage fragrances, she sent me, I believe, 12 of them, 12 samples, and they're all really cool. There's one called A Study in Water, which is just a awesome aquatic that has this really salty tinge to it. And I've you guys know, you watch my channel, I've gone through a lot of indie stuff in the past year, and it's such a fun ride that I'm still enjoying going on. And I think what I learned a little bit is that a lot of indie perfumers tend to stick to a signature style or a scent that they're comfortable with, or just a way that they make fragrances that are comfortable with. And they sort of want their DNA there, excuse me, and they're not really comfortable from breaking apart from that. And I totally understand that, because a lot of them, I'm sure, it's their primary income, and why screw with that? And I'm not saying that's a bad thing what they're doing, but what I've really enjoyed and learned about my time and experience with En Voyage is how different these all are, and the range of notes that Shelly has felt comfortable manipulating to make these types of fragrances into what she wants is just so goddamn impressive. And these price points are incredible for a sense of this magnitude. And I say this every time I do an indie video, and I'm going to just say it again. You can go and get niche fragrances and pay hundreds of dollars, and you can go and get designer fragrances and pay under $100. And you'll probably at some point notice that a lot of the niche fragrances are just sort of better crafted versions of a lot of designer scents with better materials, and there's really not too much there that's new. You're not going to really get this cutting edge fragrance, and that's not true of all niche houses. I want to stress that as well, because you guys know I love Xerjoff, I love En Voyage, I love Nasamado, I love Creed, I love Perfumery General. I could go through 100 niche houses probably that I love, but what I feel and what I know to be true is that when I go through these indie scents, there's nothing else out there like them. They perform usually at just such a high level on the skin. They're so unique. And they're just daring and different, and the price points are just fantastic. They're sort of at that upper designer echelon in terms of price usually, and what you end up walking away with for that price is just at least a niche quality, if not better. So you're just not going to do much better. I really want to recommend you guys to go and check these brands out that I've spent my time highlighting. We're going to be doing more and hopefully more videos on En Voyage and DSH and Imaginary Authors and 4,160 Tuesdays, because to me these are the people trailblazing in perfumes right now and in the fragrance industry. So I love bringing these sorts of perfumers and fragrances to light, and please go out there. And the only reason you'll see why you don't have more of them in your collection is just because you haven't pulled the trigger, or you really haven't explored there enough, because I promise you there's something for everyone, and there's something for everyone at every price point. And that's just the truth, really the truth. And if you want to message me or comment and sort of let me know what you like and have me recommend something for you on the indie side, I'd be more than happy to do that as well, because I really do want that community to grow, and I want these perfumers that have been so good to me on my channel and do such wonderful things with perfume. I really do want them to be successful, because they're successful, people are going to want to be them, and people are going to go out there and they're going to take risks, and they're going to buy essential oils, and they're going to experiment, and they're going to sell fragrances for great prices as well. And that's really what this hobby, I feel, in this industry needs. And so I want to support that. I want to help trailblaze that myself. And you guys are the ones with the power. You can go out there and you can buy these fragrances, and you can sort of vote for indie perfumes, and let the niche world know that they've got to do something different to get your money, and let the designer world know that they've got to produce higher quality scents and not just copycats of each other and just put out extreme versions of each other to get your money. That's how you can do it. So if you're unhappy with something that's going on in perfumery, take care of that, and take care of that by supporting these houses. All right, so we'll be back next week with more videos. I'm going to link to En Voyage in the description. Any questions, you guys know what it is. Absolutely message me. I'll see you again this weekend with a review. My name is Max.